Discover the thin line between caring and overcaring for your plants. Imagine a scene of overflowing water, yellowing leaves, and sagging plants. We've all seen it, perhaps even in our own homes. But then, picture lush, healthy plants standing tall and vibrant. That's what we all aim for, right? But sometimes, our well-intentioned love can become a smothering blanket, turning our green dreams into wilted realities. So come along. Let's delve into this green world and learn the signs of overcare. Overwatering is the silent killer of many houseplants. It's a well-intentioned mistake that many of us make in our quest to provide the best care for our green companions. But how exactly does overwatering harm our plants, and how can we avoid it? Think of a plant's roots as its lungs. They need both air and water to survive. In well-drained soil, water occupies the spaces between soil particles temporarily before it drains away, leaving room for air. Overwatering, however, fills these spaces for too long, effectively suffocating the plant's roots. So how do you know if you're overwatering your plants? It's not about how much water you give your plants, but how often. And the best way to determine this is by checking soil moisture. You can do this by simply sticking your finger about an inch deep into the soil. If it feels dry, it's watering time. If it's still wet, hold off. For a more precise measure, consider investing in a moisture meter, a handy tool that can take the guesswork out of watering. Now you might be thinking, can't I just stick to a fixed watering schedule? Well, not quite. Plants aren't like us. They don't eat or drink on a schedule. Their water needs depend on several factors, such as their species, the size of their pot, the type of soil they're in, and the environmental conditions. A plant might drink up more water on a hot, dry day, or less during the colder months. So it's essential to adjust your watering routine accordingly. But perhaps the most reliable signs of overwatering are visible on the plant itself. Overwatered plants often have yellowing leaves and a general wilting or drooping appearance despite the soil being wet. In severe cases, you might even notice a foul smell coming from the soil, a sign of root rot, which is a deadly disease caused by overwatering. Here's the good news. Overwatering is a completely preventable problem. By understanding your plant's water needs, checking soil moisture regularly, and adjusting your watering schedule based on the plant's needs and environmental conditions, you can save your plant from this silent killer. Remember, when it comes to watering, less is often more. Your plants would rather be underwatered than overwatered. After all, it's easier for them to recover from a bit of thirst than from drowning. So, the next time you're tempted to give your plants an extra drink, think twice. Your plants might just thank you for it. Fertilizer is plant food, but too much of a good thing can become bad. This simple truth forms the foundation of our discussion on over-fertilizing. Fertilizers play a crucial role in a plant's life. They supplement the nutrients that plants need to grow robustly and healthily. However, when used in excess, they can do more harm than good. Think of fertilizers as vitamins for your plants. Just as you wouldn't gulp down a whole bottle of vitamins in one go, your plants shouldn't be overdosed on fertilizers. Over-fertilizing can lead to a host of problems, from burning the roots to slowing down the plant's growth. It can even cause an ugly salt buildup that mars the beauty of your leafy friends. So how do you know if you're over-fertilizing? Watch out for signs like burnt leaf edges or halted growth. If you see a white, crusty layer on the soil surface or along the rim of the pot, that's salt buildup, a surefire sign of over-fertilization. But don't fret. Over-fertilizing is a mistake that's easy to correct. The first step is to understand that less is indeed more when it comes to fertilizing. Plants, especially indoor ones, don't need as much fertilizer as we often think. Reading the fertilizer label is an essential skill for any plant parent. These labels can seem confusing at first, but once you get the hang of it, you'll know exactly how much to use. Remember, the measurements on the label are maximums, not minimums. It's perfectly okay and often beneficial to use less. When it comes to application, it's crucial to evenly distribute the fertilizer. Uneven application can lead to certain parts of the plant getting more nutrients than others, causing an imbalance that can stress the plant. Now, let's talk about timing. Most houseplants benefit from regular fertilizing during their growing seasons, typically in the spring and summer. But during the fall and winter, you can cut back or even stop altogether as many plants enter a dormant period. If you suspect you've over-fertilized, don't panic. You can flush out the excess nutrients by thoroughly watering the plant and letting the water drain out. It's like giving your plant a detox. In severe cases, you might need to repot the plant in fresh soil. Before and after shots of plants affected by over-fertilization show how they can recover with proper care. These transformations are a testament to the resilience of plants and the power of attentive, balanced care. To sum it up, over-fertilizing is a common misstep in plant care. But with the right knowledge and a little attention to detail, it's an error you can easily avoid. Just like us, plants need a balanced diet. Don't overdo the fertilizer. Treat your plants to a balanced meal of nutrients, and they'll reward you with lush, vibrant growth. Plants, like people, need their downtime. Imagine if you were made to work round the clock without a break. Sounds exhausting, doesn't it? Well, that's exactly how your plants might feel if they're not given periods of rest, also known as dormancy. You see, dormancy is a plant's way of taking a breather. It's a survival strategy that allows them to conserve energy during less than ideal conditions, like the cold of winter or the heat of summer. During this time, plants slow down their growth, and some may even appear to be sleeping. But rest assured, they're just recharging, getting ready to burst back into life when conditions improve. Now, you might be wondering, how do I know if my plant needs a rest? Good question. Signs that your plant is craving some downtime include reduced growth and fewer flowers. Your fern that was once expanding like wildfire might slow down, or your blooming begonia might take a break from producing blossoms. These signs aren't cause for alarm. Instead, they're your plant's way of telling you it's time for a well-deserved rest. When you notice these signs, it's important to adjust your care routine. This isn't the time to force growth with more water, light, or fertilizer. Instead, it's time to take a step back. Reduce watering, as your plant's water needs will decrease during this period. Hold off on fertilizing since your plant isn't actively growing and won't be able to use those extra nutrients. And consider lowering light exposure, mimicking the shorter days that often trigger dormancy in nature. Think of this period as your plant's vacation time. Just as you wouldn't want to be bothered with work calls while lounging on a beach, your plants don't want to be pushed to grow when they're trying to rest. But what about timing? When should you expect your plants to take a break? Well, it depends on the type of plant and its natural habitat. Many common houseplants, like snake plants and ZZ plants, come from tropical regions where seasons don't fluctuate much. These plants might not have a strong dormancy period. On the other hand, plants native to regions with distinct seasons, like many succulents and bulbs, will have a more pronounced rest period. To help you navigate this, you can use a calendar to track your plant's growth and rest patterns. With time, you'll start to understand your plant's rhythm and can adjust your care accordingly. And the results? Well, they're worth the wait. After a proper rest period, your plant will rejuvenate with a newfound vitality. You'll see fresh growth, vibrant colors, and maybe even a few new blooms. It's your plant's way of saying thank you for understanding its needs and giving it the rest it craved. Understanding your plant's rest cycle is key to its long-term health. So the next time you see your plant slowing down, don't panic. Just remember, it's not being lazy, it's just taking a well-earned break. Let's recap the signs of overloving your plants. Overwatering, the silent leaf killer, can be avoided by simply checking your soil moisture before you pour. Over-fertilizing, an overzealous attempt to supercharge growth, can be dodged by embracing the less is more approach to plant nutrition. And finally, not allowing your green friends to rest, a common misstep rooted in our desire for perennial growth. Remember, the best love is the love that knows when to hold back. Watch your plants thrive by avoiding these common mistakes.